Welcome to the Collide Kids podcast, hosted by Christen Clark. This is a show for kids and families. You are going to meet new people and have fun while you listen. Let's do it!
Hey, y'all, and Happy New Year. Welcome to the Collide Kids podcast. I'm your host, Christen Clark. The Collide Kids podcast is a show for kids and families where we learn together how life and faith collide. I am so glad that you're listening today. Thank you so much for being here, and Happy New Year. Happy 2023. How many of you stayed up until midnight on New Year's Eve? Did anybody do that? We did, and I was for sure tired, but it was so fun to ring in the new year and stay up late. Well, I am excited about this year. You know, a new year means a new, fresh start, and I'm excited about some new things that will be happening in 2023. I have some fantastic guests lined up to be on the podcast very soon, and I would love for more people to listen to the Collide Kids podcast this year, and you can help me with that. You can share it on social media or write a review on your podcast app about what you like. Or you could share it with someone. You know, if you're listening to an episode one day and a person comes to your mind, send it to them and tell them to listen. Tell them you thought about them. That is a great way to help someone else and to let them know that you're thinking about them. Well, I am so excited about our guest today. I could not think of a better person to kick off this new year than my new podcast friend. Her name is JJ Campbell. She hosts the Along for the Ride podcast with JJ Campbell, a weekly interactive kids game show that helps you have more good times with your family while riding in the car together. These fun activities get everybody talking and laughing, and before you know it, you're strengthening family bonds and making special memories. JJ has always loved playing games and gets her best ideas for the show from childhood experiences and playing with her own little toddler, Evan. She says you can make any family experience enjoyable with some creativity and a fun mindset. You guys buckle up and get ready for this conversation with JJ Campbell. JJ, welcome to the Collide Kids podcast. I am so glad to have you here today.
Hey, Christen, I'm so stoked. I'm so happy to be here with you recording this episode.
I know, this is so much fun, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. That's what's up.
So for New Year's Eve, we did a countdown with my little nephew who is 3 years old, and his favorite thing was to count down. So we counted down like 12 times. And then right at midnight with the older people that were still awake, we counted down as well. So I think we should do a countdown right now, don't you?
Let's do it.
Okay, ready? 5,
4,
3, 2,
1.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year! Blast off to a new year.
Blast off to a new year. I love it. 2023. I cannot believe it. Wasn't it just the summer? And then now we just finished Christmas. How did we get here?
So fast. We're just having too much fun. It's going by so fast.
That's right. That's right. Well, I am really excited to talk to you. And you and I are podcast friends. And I love that.
Pals.
Yes. Will you just share a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. So I'm JJ and I'm a podcaster. I host a kids and family podcast called the Along for the Ride podcast. It is an interactive game show where we play games. Every episode has a game, and then we have a fun conversation topic. And so there's room in the episodes to play and have fun, but then there's also some great talking times. So the whole point of all of my shows, the whole point of all of my episodes is to get families playing together, playing games together. You're laughing, you're talking, you're having a blast. And then, like, before you know it, your family bonds are strengthening. You're this tight family unit and you're having a blast together. You're making all these memories. So that is the Along for the Ride in a snapshot. And it is my most favorite thing I have ever done. I'm having the time of my life putting these episodes together.
I love it. No,
I'm just so excited.
There's not many of us. Those podcasts for kids and families, we're kind of niche. We're kind of special.
It's a special little group that we're in.
Yes, so I love that we get to do this and we get to do this together. And I'm going to be on
Together.
your podcast too. So it's a little
Yes.
crossover event. You know how
Little,
TV shows do
little
that?
crossover.
That's so fun. Okay, I want to hear more about your podcast and all of that. But before we get started, because this is a show for kids, we always like to start out with a joke or something funny. So what have you got for us today?
Okay, so since this is a New Year's episode, I thought I needed to bring a New Year's joke. So, we talk about resolutions. That's the whole big thing about, New Year's, starting out fresh. So here is my joke. My New Year's resolution was to drop my bad habits, but nobody likes a quitter.
Didn't. So true. Don't quit. Don't be a quitter.
It's not even that funny.
That's awesome. Do you have New Year's resolutions? Like, is that something that you do?
I actually love New Year's resolutions, but it's not so much about like the goals itself. I think it's more of just your mindset. Like it's a new time, it's a blank calendar, like all of these things that could happen. And this could be the year that you actually step in and be the person that you want to be. So where I see my New Year's resolutions, it's not normally like, do this, do that, do this by this time. It's what do I want to be like? What kind of person do I want to be? Do I want to be someone who has more fun? Always. What kind of things do I want to experience? I want to be open to fun. I want to just do the things that I think I want to do and I go for it. And so to me, it's just like the fresh start energy, the momentum that you get at the beginning of a new year. And we know you can start things anytime, but there's just something special about the New Year's energy. So I really love it.
I love that. I love that too, to think about the mindset, because I think setting goals is a good thing because it gives you a marker. It helps you hold you accountable. It helps you to see kind of where you're going and what your progression was. And that's always good. But for me, I think it's hard.
Yeah.
We try to set a lot of goals and then we can't keep the promises to ourselves. And, we feel bad about ourselves or get discouraged. So I set goals and resolutions, but I hold them with an open hand. Like I hold them loosely, so I'm going to try to be better about this, or I'm going to do my best to read more books, or I'm going to do my best to get more sleep. That's my New Year's resolution, is to be better about going to bed on time and getting up when I need to and all of that stuff.
I also need to work on that.
Yes. So, but there's also going to be times where I'm going to have to change that, or I'm going to have to flex with myself. So I think just holding it with a loose hand, but still say this goals. It's all about mindset, just like you said.
Totally agree.
Well, I want to hear about your podcast because I love this idea of families playing together and having fun together. So tell us about how you started your podcast. What was the idea that made you want to do that?
Okay, so here's the story. So this was like 2018. This was like, is that like 4 years ago? I'm terrible at time math. I can't even remember.
It's a little more than 5. I think we're at 5 years.
More than 4 years ago. Oh, gosh.
I'm not a math person.
However long 2018, the summer of 2018, let's just go back there in our brains. So I was working in our church children's ministry, our family ministry, and we were taking a group of kids to summer camp. And I got the opportunity to drive the 4th and 5th grade boys to camp. It's like a 2-hour drive. And I was not a mom at this time. I mean, I only have a toddler now. So like I still wouldn't even know really how to talk to a 4th or 5th grade boy. But I was thinking, I was like, what are we going to do for these 2 hours? Because like they couldn't bring their phones. So like it was, what are we going to talk about? I have nothing in common with a 4th and 5th grade boy. I don't even know what Fortnite is, whatever. And so I was like, in my brain, I was like, I wish that there was some sort of podcast that would, help us have fun together. I wish there was something that we could just like turn on and do in the car, and it would be all these fun little games, and we would just like have a great time talking to each other. It would just be like, we would be the fun car for sure. And so I looked and there was no podcast like that. And I was like, well, I like games. I like having fun. Maybe I should make this show. So in 2019, the next year, I actually did it. I went for it. I had no idea what I was doing. I still don't really know what I'm doing. And so, I was like, I'm just going to do this. And I put out 10 episodes and then I quit. And then a few years later, I put out some more and then I stopped again. And And now we are back in 2020. I was like, you know what? I'm doing this. I've not stopped thinking about it since I've started. And I feel like this is what God has called me to do, because I don't believe I came up with this idea by myself. Like, because it's just too easy. Like, I overcomplicate everything, but I was like, it's too easy. I believe that this idea is from the Lord, and I believe it is my calling to, in this season of my life right now, to step in and help families connect together. Because also, when I was working in children's ministry, and again, this was 2018, 2019, this was years ago. I was around children more, and I saw just a screen addiction. And that's what I kept reading about, of just like how often kids are spending time on devices, and parents too. Like, it's for everybody. Like, we all have our screen addiction issues. But I just kept hearing about, and I kept seeing about all these behavior issues with children because of screen addiction. I have a lot of teachers in my family, so hearing about the change that they've seen in kids as, the years have gone on and we've used social media more, and phones and everything get introduced earlier and earlier. What we're seeing now is like families are struggling. Like, families are struggling to connect together. And I was like, I want to help. I want to do something, because I love to have fun. I love to talk to people. I want to play games with people. I want to connect with people, and I want my son to be able to do that too.
Yes.
So I was like, I'm doing it. I want to help families. I want to help families have fun. I want to help families get stronger, because, now the more that I've really learned about family dynamics and children, and like raising healthy children, now that I'm definitely more in this world now that I have a toddler, I want to be a connected family, and I want to do things now that are going to set him up for success. And so my fire just keeps growing every day for having stronger families, for helping people to have fun, because it's even hard to have fun now. There's so much going on. We're so busy. And so if I can put out a 20-minute game show episode once a week that's going to help families like just do something fun together, I'm all in.
I love that. And I think your story is very similar to mine. I love podcasts and I love to listen to them. And I was looking for something like this where people get to share their stories and talk about what they do. But it was geared towards kids, and there's not that, I couldn't find anything like it. So it's the same thing. It's like, I know that little seed of curiosity, I think that definitely comes from God. And, I had Hannah Cruz on here last year, and she makes a lot of TikTok videos.
She's so funny. Yes.
She's so funny. And I asked her, how do you come up with your ideas? And she said every night she prays and she asks God while she's sleeping if he will choose the word download, but like this, God would give her those ideas. And so she comes up with these funny things. And I think that's why, she's doing really well, is because she's asking God to help her. So I think that's so neat how God uses so many different things, like your podcast and videos and different things. He can take whatever it is, whatever he's put inside of you, and he can use it to help somebody else. I think sometimes we think, oh, well, the thing that I'm passionate about or the thing I'm excited about, it doesn't really matter. It's not preaching, or it's not, I can't sing really beautifully, or I can't write a book. Like, I'm just a kid. What could I do? So any idea that you have that is about helping other people and sharing God's love with someone else, I think that's definitely a good thing to pursue. And that's good that you're excited about it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I love how you put that together, because like it doesn't, you don't have to be, and you don't have to be a certain age to start. You don't have to be an adult. Like, kids have great ideas. Kids are the most creative and the most imaginative and have the biggest hearts. And like, if you can latch onto something now that like how you said, that helps people and shares the love of God, do it now.
Right. You don't have to be an adult to do something amazing for God. You can start right now, whatever age you are. And you don't have to be a young person to do something for God. For those parents that are listening, you could be whatever age you are, and you could do something for God. And if he gives you that passion or that desire, then he's going to make it grow. He's going to do that because it's from him.
Amen, girl.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Okay. So you talk about your podcast is a game show. Now, how does that work? How do you do a game show on a podcast?
That is a great question that I'm still figuring out after all these years. But actually, what it really comes down to is there are so many games that you can play in the car, and they're mostly verbal games. Like you're asking a question, you're giving a funny answer. And so that is the majority of my games. They are games like Name 10 and Would You Rather, and like all these like fun little conversation games that are just fun to play. And they require creativity to think of your answers, and we move really fast. There are a lot of really fast-paced games. We also do drawing games because you can definitely draw in the car. And one of the drawing games we did that I love, I've done it a few times now, is where I call it switch hands drawing. So like you start with if you're right-handed, you start drawing with your right hand, and then I give you the call of now switch hands. You have to start drawing with your left hand. Like, and I just think that's hilarious.
I hope the parents whoever's driving, I hope they don't participate in that one.
Drivers don't play the drawing game. I'm always very clear.
10 and 2 on the wheel.
You just get to look at them. You try to figure out what they drew afterwards. Yeah, that's what it is.
There you go. That's all.
Yeah, we just do all sorts of games. Like I have some movement games where I'll I'll call a color, and the color has a certain movement, and you do the movement, and it goes really fast. Listening games where I'll play sounds and you try to guess what it is. It's just like if you really think about it, you can get really creative, and there's so many things that we can do in the car that are just fun together. And a lot of these verbal games, they actually like really reveal things that you love and things that you like that you might not even know, because you're having to think fast, you're having to think on your feet and kind of like say the first answer that comes in your brain, and you might surprise yourself with like what your answers are. So I also see it as a way to like really get to know each other better. I love it.
I think that's so neat. So what if we were to play a game right now? Could we do a game right now?
We can totally do a game right now. So
okay,
because
so
I thought you would want to do this. So I have prepared a game for us to do. And when you come on my show, I have a very special game for you and I to play. Like, I've never done it before. It's going to be the first time. I'm so stoked about it. So this game is called What's Better? And it's really easy. So I'm going to ask you a question, a what's better question. And then you'll only have just like a second to say your answer. And so you listeners in the car, you are playing along too. So it's not just me and Christen. You guys are playing along too. So that's how it works. Get into it. Answer the questions. Say things out loud. It might feel weird, but I promise you it's not. It's going to be fun and it's going to go fast. Are you guys ready?
I'm excited, and I feel like everyone's going to learn a lot about me right now.
Wait, am I interviewing you on this? Okay, let's do it. So here is what's better. All right, first one. What is better? Being stuck in a car or being stuck on a boat?
We'll be right back after this. You know, raising kids in the digital age isn't easy, but Bark Technology makes products that help parents keep their kids safe online and in real life. They have an app, a phone, and a home device that lets families set parental controls on their internet-connected devices. I love the app because it helps us manage screen time and blocks websites and apps we want our kids to avoid. It also sends alerts and gives us the ability to monitor texts and social media and even track your child's location. Visit bark.us to learn more about how you can keep your kids safe online. Use the code COLLIDEKIDS to get 15% off your subscription of the Bark app. Maybe being stuck in a boat because there's more room to move around.
What's better, candy or crackers?
Candy, for sure.
What's better, sleeping late or waking up early?
Sleeping late.
What's better, jumping into a cold pool or a cool lake?
I prefer the pool, so I'll go with cold pool.
What's better, sneezing or blowing your nose?
Let's say sneezing.
I don't think there's a right answer to that one. There's not a good answer.
I've blown my nose a lot this past month, so yeah, I'm gonna go with sneezing.
Okay, here's an easy one. Oh no, I take it back. Here's a hard one. What is better, pizza or pasta?
Oh, let's go with pizza.
Okay, another hard one. It's going to reveal a lot about you. What's better,
Okay.
cookies or ice cream?
Turkeys or ice cream? Is that what you said?
Cookies.
Cookies. I thought you said turkeys. I don't like turkeys.
Cookies
what's
or
better?
ice cream?
Let's go with cookies that are shaped like turkeys. How about that?
Turkey-shaped cookies. That's it.
There you go.
You know, like the sneezing and the nose blowing question got me thinking, like, you know, but what's better? That's easy. What if we did some questions of what is worse?
Okay. Let's do that.
I was like, it really is, you know, like, especially when you sneeze while you drive, that is the worst in the whole world. Or like sneezing while you're riding your bike because you have to close your eyes because you can't see. That's the ultimate worst. Okay, so here, let's do a few what's worse questions if we have time. Okay, what's worse, being sticky or being wet?
Being sticky.
What's worse, smelling a bad smell that won't go away or eating something that tastes bad for 10 seconds?
Eating something, because then it goes down and you don't think about it anymore.
What's worse, sitting in traffic or stepping in an ant bed?
What's worse, sitting, no. Ant bed. Yeah, that's awful. I've stepped in one of those before.
What's worse, a fly buzzing around your head or hot air blowing on your feet?
We're going to go with the bug flying around your head. I like hot air on my feet, so that's not bad.
What's worse, dropping an ice cream cone or slipping on a banana peel?
Dropping an ice cream cone.
What's worse, stepping on a Lego or getting a sunburn?
Ooh. Stepping on a Lego.
Okay, here's the last one. What is worse, not knowing how something starts or not knowing how something ends?
Not knowing how it ends is worse.
I think so too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That is a little taste of what happens on the Along for the Ride podcast. It is so random, you guys. Y'all never know what I'm going to pull out on an episode, but it's just fun. Like, it is just simple fun together. Like, when everyone participates, that's one of my favorite things in the whole world is when everyone is involved in doing something together. And that's how you unify. That's how you bring people together, is through fun.
Absolutely. And I love that it's something it's something that you could all do together. It's something you could do by yourself too. Like, it's just fun to think about those questions, but definitely better together. I think that's really
better
cool.
Together. That's for sure.
Yeah. So you talked about this a little bit earlier. I want to touch on this too, because I think that's something that we as parents talk about a lot, is our excessive amount of screen time. Why is it so important that kids and adults not be so addicted to their screens?
Oh, that is a loaded question. The data is out there. The more we are on screens, adults and kids, again, this is for everybody. Like, the more that we are on our screens and the less we are experiencing things outside or having a conversation, making eye contact, or just doing an activity together, or especially when we're playing and we rely on screens to be our only entertainment when we're not actually out there creating the fun ourselves. That just weakens and dampens our creativity. It weakens our brains. I want my brain to be the strongest muscle in my body. You know, I want to think, and I want to think creatively. And the more we are on screens and the less we are doing brain work. And again, brain work is just like thinking creatively, giving ourselves the opportunity to make something or to do something or have a conversation. We're not allowing ourselves to be our full selves. We're dampening down who we actually are. And kids especially, when not given the opportunities to play outside, get their hands dirty, or to make up their own games, boredom is actually a big deal. It's really good to get bored because then you come up with your own stuff. And when you come up with your own entertainment, when you know how to entertain yourself, that is building the essential skills that you will carry for the rest of your life. I don't want to rely on something else. I want to be able to create my own fun. Like, because that keeps my brain sharp, you know?
Whenever my kids tell me I'm bored, I'm like, that's great.
What an opportunity.
Never tell a mom that you're bored. Okay. That's just a little tip for kids out there, because I agree with you. That means you need to come up with something fun to do for yourself. That means you need to come up with your own idea, your own activity. And so I think boredom is a good thing. Boredom tells our brain that it's time for us to start thinking and being creative, like you said. And so if we're always putting a screen in front of ourselves, whenever we get bored, we're taking away a part of the activity in our brain that's going to keep us sharp and smart. And we want all those things.
I like to say it this way, Kristen. I like to say that boredom is the pathway to imagination.
Yeah.
Because it is. Like, if you really stop and think about it, like, that's what gets your imagination pumping. And actually, your imagination is decreasing. Research is showing that people are less able to use their imaginations because they've never had to exercise it. And that is scary, because if we don't have imagination, we can't create things. We can't invent new things. We can't solve problems without imagination. And it starts when we are kids. It starts when we play. And it just carries over into adulthood.
And I think it's okay if you have to sit in a quiet room or sit in a restaurant and not have anything to do or to talk about. Like, it's good to listen. It's good to pay attention to other people. And so if we're on our screens, we can't look up and make eye contact with the people around us. And we need to learn. Those are skills that are going to carry you far in life, is if you can know how to talk to someone, how to listen to someone.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you don't know how to do that now, it's going to be harder to learn as you get older.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So put those screens down. We say no screens at the table. You know, we try to keep that rule, and that goes for mom and dad. Dinner time and those times where we're at a table, we don't have our screens out because we don't need it. We have each other and we can talk to each other.
Exactly. You don't need it.
That's right. And you said that in your podcast, you give like conversation starters. So is that something that you give families to talk about at the table?
Yes, absolutely. So one of the visions I have, like when I do my episodes, when I write my scripts, is this fun can start in the car and it can keep going when they get home. And now, obviously, you can listen to the podcast at home. It doesn't have to just be in your car. But if you think about just how on the go families are, like going to practice or running errands, going shopping, or going to visit a friend, like I mean, I'm from the South. We take cars everywhere. I've never ridden a public bus in my whole life. And so we don't have them. Like, that's just not our reality. We drive everywhere. And so if the fun can start in the car and the conversation can start in the car and carry over into your homes, and you're just like having all these great conversations. So I like to bring up a lot of character building topics. I like to bring up things that families can do together. And I think that's always so exciting to talk about, is just like sharing your ideas of what sounds fun for your whole family. One of my most downloaded episodes ever that I did back in November was on just how to be a good friend. Like, I could just imagine all the conversations that parents got to have with kids about what real friendship looks like and how they can be a friend to someone else and know what a good friend looks like. And so I really loved that one, and I'm glad that other people did too. So there's just lots of different opportunities for conversations, and I'm a pretty random person, so you never really know what I'm going to pull out as far as the conversation. Like, one of our episodes was like, let's rank the best breakfast foods, and then and so we had time in the episode to talk about if we liked monkey bread or waffles better, but all these fun stuff. And then you get talking about breakfast, and you're like, you know what, I want to make that. And then you have a family breakfast the next morning, and you're having a great time around the table. Phones down, you're enjoying what you're having, you're connected together. And it all starts with conversations. It all starts with questions. And that is the heart of my show.
I love that. And I'm getting a really funny image. You know, you said we're in the South, so we take the car everywhere. So now I'm thinking about someone listening to your podcast on a subway in New York City or on a public bus, and they're like, waffles, shouting.
Waffles? What's better? Bananas.
Yeah, right. They're banana. And they're like shouting it on the subway. I think that's fantastic.
We're going to change the world that way. It's going to be amazing.
I love it. So like, someone yelled waffles on the subway today. It was weird, but
I've never thought about it. I've never thought about it outside of my context, so that is hilarious.
Now you will. So now you're going to address the people in the public transportation. Say, don't shout waffles right now. Well, JJ, this has been so fun. I've loved talking with you about your show, and I hope all of my listeners will check your show out. Where can they find your show?
Thank you so much, Kristen. I just really appreciate the opportunity to come and hang out with you and be on your show. You can find Along for the Ride. It's the Along for the Ride podcast. You can find it anywhere you listen to podcasts. And then I have a website, alongfortheride.info. And then I'm on Instagram. I like to do reels. So we're having a great time on that. And that's AFTR_kids podcast. I would love to connect with you. And actually, Kristen, I have a fun download for you guys. We talked a lot about conversations. So you can go to alongfortheride.info/conversations, and I'll send you 25 random conversation starters. Just like have up your sleeve whenever you have like a downtime minute, or you're like, I'm so burnt out, I'm so tired, I don't even know what to ask right now. Just look at the conversation prompts. And so let me help you bring some fun. So that's, your listeners can go to alongfortheride.info/conversations.
That's awesome. And we'll put that in the show notes so our listeners can check that out. I think that's such a good idea. Well, this has been so good. Hey, before I let you go, I always like to ask my guests to share a memory from when they were a kid. So what memory do you have for us today?
So I grew up in the South. I'm from Mississippi, and I still live in Mississippi. And we played outside a lot. Like, that was a big part of my childhood, just being outside with my sister and my dad. And when I talked about the switch hands drawing, this is what made me think about this memory specifically. So one time, now we played softball and everything. So we would get out there with our gloves and we would throw all the time. Like, that was very normal. But one time, my dad was like, hey, let's throw with our left hands. Just maybe that's one of the reasons why I am the way I am now. So me and my sister are trying to throw these softballs with our left hands, and we couldn't even do it. We were laughing so hard. And I think about it all the time, just like how silly that was. But it was so fun of just like trying something different and playing outside together with my family. And I still can't throw with my left hand to this day. Like,
yeah. And that was such a fun moment for you guys to just bust out laughing together.
Yeah, we couldn't even do it. We couldn't even try. We were laughing so hard.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you again for being on the show. This was so fun.
Oh, thank you so much for the opportunity. And I cannot wait to have you on my show. Woo! It's going to be fun. You guys are going to love this episode. And podcast pals.
Yes, I love having podcasts. That was so much fun. I loved getting to talk to JJ today, and she has a great laugh, doesn't she? She shared some really good stuff today. I loved her viewpoint about New Year's resolutions and how it's just about updating your mindset. It's all about that fresh start. Everything that happened last year, it's in the past. Now we're moving forward and we're gaining that momentum and we're making good decisions. And one of those good decisions is to watch your screen addiction. Make sure that you are spending time off screen and off your devices. That's good advice for moms, dads, and kids. She also encouraged us to embrace boredom. She said it's the pathway to imagination. And she also encouraged us to be who God wants us to be. So if our faces are stuck to a screen and we're not engaging with the people and the world around us, we're going to miss out on all the things that God wants to do in and through our lives. If you'd like to learn more about her podcast, you can go to her website, alongfortheride.info. You can also follow her on Instagram at AFTR_podcast, and be sure to follow and subscribe to her podcast. It's so much fun, and I know your family's going to really enjoy it, especially on your next road trip. Well, now it's time for the kids only segment. This is a part of the show where you get to be on the podcast. So here is my friend, Piper.
Hi, my name is Piper, and my joke is, why did the cookie go to the doctor? Because he was feeling kind of crummy.
Thank you, Piper. That was feeling kind of crummy. I understand that. I don't know about you guys, but this is that time of year where everybody keeps getting sick over and over again. So I hope you guys all take your vitamins and wash your hands so we're not feeling like that cookie, feeling pretty crummy. We want to be healthy in the new year, right? Well, hey, if you would like to share your favorite joke or an encouraging quote that you like, or maybe you want to sing a song or tell me your favorite Bible verse, just go to my website, collidekidspodcast.com. riverradio.com and click the tab at the top that says Kids Only, or you can find more information on my Facebook and Instagram pages at Collide Kids Pod. If you like to support the podcast, there's a few ways you can do that. Like we said at the beginning of the show, you can share a rating and a review on your podcast app. You can follow and subscribe, or you can share it with someone and let them know why you and your family like to listen. And anytime you think about it, I always appreciate your prayer support as well. Or you can go by my website and click the link at the top that says support. And anytime you think about it, I always appreciate the support of prayer. That's so powerful, and I believe in the power of prayer. Well, I am so glad that you've joined me for this first episode of 2023. Thank you so much for being here today. Happy New Year. And in case no one has told you yet, I would love to be the first to remind you that God loves you so much. Thanks for listening.
You don't have to go very far looking for bad news because somehow it just finds you. So finding peace in the chaos can be really difficult, but it doesn't have to be because the River mobile app exists. The River is a Christian music radio station dedicated to playing music to help you get through life's toughest moments or life's happiest moments and everywhere in between. And all from artists who love Jesus and are real people just like you. Listening is easy. You can download it wherever you get apps from. Just search 1049 The River or listen online at riverradio.com. And know that The River is proud to partner with the Collide Kids podcast.